Assalamu alaikum, beautiful. Welcome to Spiritual Awakening, Enlighten Your Soul Podcast. I am your host, Nazish. I found my inner light through self-healing. I learned that every Muslim woman who is the light of her life have gone through different trials to get where she is today. So subscribe as we uncover hidden stories and learn from life experiences. If you want to be the light of your life, make sure you check the description box. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Spiritual Awakening Podcast. Today I have with me Sister Sava. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sava.
Alaikum salam.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Jazakallahu khairan for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting. You were texting me and you said, would you be in the podcast? Would you just do an interview? It's like, am I going to be interviewed? Okay.
Of course, Alhamdulillah. Sister Sava was a companion with me at the Heal Sister Academy, and I have myself witnessed her growth. So it had to be it was on my mind since the day I started the podcast to invite you on one of the series. So 100% yes.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting again.
So Sister Sava is a dentist by profession who's trying to be mentally and intellectually aware among her colleagues and her 9-to-5 job. She's also the host of Who Are You podcast, which is amazing, mashallah, tabarakallah. And once again, welcome to the podcast. I would love to begin with my first question, which is, what is your origin story? Who is Sava Bisarani?
Thank you. So it is, I'm just a normal dentist, just doing the 9-to-5 job. I just opened the Instagram because I wanted to educate about the topics we have in the university. Biochemistry, oral medicine, surgery, like all these things that we have in the uni. And I love to teach. It's just like, I do love to talk to people and teach and about the education. And by the time the podcast came, it was just like automatically came within. And that's it. It wasn't just something really complicated for me because I love it. And I love to draw, to teach. And then I went to the TTS because I needed it last year because I had some changes in my life. I did my internship outside Germany. I did it in Egypt, although I'm not Egyptian. I did it there. And so then I made dua before Ramadan. And then TTS came like on Instagram. And I just, paid for that. For the academy. And then I just knew some new women. It was really good.
Alhamdulillah. I love how almost all of us have the story where we have made some dua at some point and then TDS suddenly popped out through YouTube or through Instagram.
It is, it was really like popped out. I was really in need of something and it came.
Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whomever he wills, right?
Alhamdulillah,
So before you joined TTS, the Thriving Sister, what did your life look like? Why did you feel like there was a need to join TTS? What kind of emotions you had? What did your routine look like? What kind of days you had?
So I was aware that I was more in my masculine form, that I was always somehow angry. I had to prove myself that I do know something, because I chose a different way than my surrounding. I know I chose dentistry; it was good, but my mindset was somehow different. And I do come from a good surrounding, but my mindset was quite, I have everything. What I do has to please how can I say that? Not please God, but it has to be something worthy enough to please God. So I didn't see everything worthy enough. And it was my mindset, which was maybe not always right, but I just did a classification in my life. This is worthy enough. This is not worthy enough. Everything which is not worthy, I kicked it out. So many people saw me as a really harsh person. And I distracted myself with some people. I selected my friendships always, just not to be distracted, because I chose the hijab as in my teenage years, which was a quite different, which was somehow a big deal for the surrounding. And then I said, no, I'm doing this. I know it's my life is going to be more different, but it's going to be better. And I knew I was confident enough. I was aware, although I was in my teenage years, that no, I'm going to achieve some things in my life, and I can do that. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard, yeah, to prove something. That's not true. That's not always right to prove things now.
Yeah, because then you're in this constant process of doing things for others, for seeking validation, for getting. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So when you were in that phase, and before TTS, because TTS did give us a platform where we could vent out, where we could get coached, where we had right people who would understand us. So before TTS, did you feel like you had the right set of people in your life who you could rely on for this emotions, for the overwhelm, for sharing all those things that were going inside you?
I did, yes. And Alhamdulillah, I'm straight away and answering the question straight. Yes, I did, but I knew I had a problem with myself. The thing is, when I was in Egypt, did my internship, I knew I'm going back to Germany around September. And I knew I'm going back to the hospital where my sister in my teenage years passed away. And we didn't, not only my sister passed away, my grandma too, in that hospital. So it is a hospital where I had to do my clinical work. And I knew that my mental health or my internal struggles weren't really aligned with the future struggles I'm going to face. So TTS was quite well, and it was better with time. Like, I have to accept some things. And I have to accept that every doctor or dentist is quite smart enough with the work they do. And I have to understand that there is mental health. There is some struggles every dentist or doctor is going through in the work or a 9-to-5 job. Because the 9-to-5 job is really hard. It's really hard. Like when I leave the home 7 a.m. and come back around 7 p.m. or 7:30. And that every day, it's a lot. You're basically living with them or living within the hospital. I'm not living in the hospital. I'm not working the hospital. I'm working in a clinic, but it's a big clinic. So you're quite living with them. Yeah.
That's true. And did you think that doing the inner work is beneficial when you actually went to the clinic and faced all those things again?
Yes. I got calmer internally. Yeah, it did, but it needs time. Some things needs time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah for that.
Alhamdulillah.
So what advice would you give to someone, who is going through grief? Because you said you lost your sister, you lost your grandmother. So what advice would you give to someone who's going through grief of losing someone they love, especially at that young age? Like, if you could talk to your 11-year-old inner child, what would you tell her?
That's quite interesting, the question. The
Only
puberty
if you
time,
are
yeah.
comfortable to answer.
Yeah, the puberty years are quite difficult because you're in an age or in a time or in a phase where you're so confused about being dependent or independent, being, I don't know, it's just so different, that phase. But my phase was so differently because we sticked to each other as a family because we lost someone. And the family was there, which was quite well. It was a shock. She didn't have an illness. The thing is, got she got a bite from an insect, and the hospital, it was one of the main hospitals here in the city, they didn't know what she has. So they always try to cure her with anything possible. And the last stage was the cleansing of the blood, and was like they took away a really good amount of blood to cleanse it. So she was quite a how was it called in English? They were trying on her, just just examining, just like testing some medicaments or some drugs if that's possible or not. And testing on patients is a, like, as a family, you have the feeling you're taking advantage of, because they're just testing and testing and they don't know what the problem is. I do understand it. They don't know what the problem is, but they tested a lot. They tested a lot that we moved to other cities and saw what she has, and no one knew what she has. She just has she has pain in her bones, in her hands, but no one knew what she was under treatment for 3.5 years. That was a lot.
Wow.
That was a lot. And getting drugs, and she was getting so pumped with medicaments that she was really like thick, overweight, and her hair grew up, and that was quite an awful phase. But losing a sibling in that stage, or I don't have to be honest, I don't have any advice. I don't, because every situation is different. Really. No. Like how I lost my sibling is different than any other family. I can't give it any advice because it was too hard. Yeah, it was, I can't.
Wow, I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a minute because I'm sorry for bringing this up.
No, I'm just accepting it because I wasn't 11. I'm just now growing up, but there are some things that has to be changed, like, yeah, the hospitals or the treatments.
Yes, definitely. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you and your family.
I mean, inshallah, for everyone who's losing siblings, mothers, like really close families, it's hard. It is.
And I think nothing can prepare you for that, even if it was 3 years or 5 years. Losing is losing someone. It's just painful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Now, coming back to you doing the TTS, doing the inner work, how was your life after that? Like, what kind of shift you saw in yourself? Major shifts that happened.
A big thing that really shifted and changed was the ease, was the understanding that some emotions I had was was existing, and I just hugged my emotions somehow. Like, I tapped on my emotions, say, okay, it's good to have these emotions. It's normal to have these emotions, because I quite push them away just to deal with my emotions. This was the main thing. It was an ease and understanding of my emotions.
So you kept on suppressing them You were not sitting with it for a long time.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very long time. Yeah.
And TTS helped you sit with it and release it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And
to release it as a healthy way in the feminine way.
In the feminine way. Yeah.
Yeah. It is quite different to release it as a man or as a feminine, like in my opinion.
Yeah.
And just be feminine, just to, it's so beautiful to be really feminine. It is, and it's so underrated. Although I am masculine most of the time till now, but just being in some times in my feminine way, it's just being myself, being the authentic way. Really, it's, even in the work, just being my feminine. Yeah.
I love that, because I feel like I was stuck for a period in my wounded masculine as well. And that need to prove validation, and that just led me to being stuck in the autopilot mode. Like, I had no idea where my days were going.
Yeah, that's true.
The minute I stepped out of it, I enjoy my days. Like, I make sure that the week is well divided. I have my slow days as well. And while I'm really taking care of myself, I don't feel the need or the desire to prove myself. And yes, there are people out there who still comment, everybody has a say. And first, it used to be triggering. But alhamdulillah, now I just be there in that moment. Okay. It's like, it's fine. It's okay. Everybody has their opinion. And just how, like, Imam al-Ghazali says, right, that he says in the book that you need to choose among whom you want to reply. So you don't owe an answer, or you don't have to give da'wat of Islam to everyone. Not everyone is going to understand. And knowing that is really, really, really important, because I feel like we all tend to go out there as hijabis, as niqabis, getting out there, telling people ask, and we want to share, right? But it's so important, it's so well defined in that book, that share it to the right people, give the dawah to the right people. If you know that this person is only listening to argue back and not to understand, then don't get in there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And just knowing the person in front of you, that's really important now. It is.
So alhamdulillah for that realization, for the spiritual lessons. And coming to spirituality, when you shifted from that low phase to the Sava Bisarani you are now, what spiritual tools, technique, activities that you did that really helped you in heal? Because I think as product of TTS, we all believe that healing cannot happen if there is no spiritual aspect in it. So what were the things that you were doing in that moment that helped or speed up the process of healing for you, or strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Around while doing TTS, I did journaling a lot. But the thing is that with work, sometimes I do not journal. I do my tasbih, and really just, I do one simple thing, and it's really simple. I just read Quran, and that's it. And I don't have a really spirituality routine. I'm trying to attach myself with the Quran more, and that's it.
That's
I don't.
But that's powerful.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like really simple thing, because people do, maybe I'm doing journaling, I'm doing the meditation, I am doing I'm going to the ocean, I'm sitting out there. I don't know, like some people do and really invest in themselves, but I don't have that. I just read Quran and try to understand it if I have time. Yeah.
And that is, I think that is, it's not simple, it's powerful, I would say, because we all tend to feel like the hearts do find rest in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I also feel that the days
Mm,
when I have read the Quran, or when I have done the morning or evening adhkar, my heart
mm.
is much more at ease. My heart is much more at peace. And
That's
if
true.
I haven't done those things, I remember that those are the days when there's so much of overthinking and chaos going on in my mind. I
Mm,
was like, wait, something did not happen right today. And then I would remember that, oh, I haven't read my manzil, or haven't done the morning or evening adhkar, or haven't read
mm,
the Quran. And I feel that as Muslims, we're so blessed that we get to pause and do the 5 times salah from the
mm,
as well, because it allows us to slow down
mm,
and reflect on the day, how it's going. And we have this opportunity 5 times a day to reset our day again.
mm.
So, Alhamdulillah, I just wanted to add that that it's simple things are the most powerful ones if you are consistent with it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not about how big or small the deed is. It's about
Mm,
consistency that is more loving to him.
mm. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add to the podcast today?
Understand yourself. Understand psychology. Or I said psychology. I'm not an English native speaker. I'm not. So understand your emotions. Just understand yourself. That's the most important thing. No one can really hurt you.
Mhm.
Um, I was sitting yesterday with my cousin, and she was saying some things about the past, and then I was so hurt. I bursted out with tears, and then she didn't hurt me. She just said this and this happened, and there are some. And when I sat with myself afterwards, I said like, no, um, like why did I cry? And I just cried because I didn't know how to do with my emotions. I don't know, like there are some things you have to understand yourself. Really.
I
Sit
agree.
with your like, sit with coaches, sit with there are so many mindset podcasts. Be aware of yourself and don't compete with each other. Basically, because so many people compete, like how to. I was just on YouTube right now before we did the podcast. How to use jealousy to manipulate others. Don't manipulate. Just use your understanding yourself personally to know what you want, because many people don't know what they want.
That's
I,
true.
I graduated from dentistry and then I said, what do I want right now? What then? I really reached that position where I didn't know what to do. So what should I do now? Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for the interview or for the podcast.
Now, Alhamdulillah, the pleasure is all mine. But I want to quickly add to that when you said being aware of yourself, because I feel like it is so important. Like you said, when you said talking about your cousin, I remember that my cousin recently, she had a daughter,
Mm.
and we both share this really incredible bond. So she's very close to my daughter as well. But
Wow.
when she had her daughter, I was finding it so hard to be around her daughter at that time. And I think she felt it too, that, I wasn't able to hold her. I wasn't able to love her the way I would want to. Like I was so excited to see her, but the minute she was there, I don't know, I couldn't connect to her. And I realized it later. It's because of all that postnatal depression that, every time I see babies of that age, the newborn phase, it reminds me of how hard my phase was.
Mm.
And when I got aware about that, when I sat with those things and I reminded myself, I forgive myself
Mm-hmm.
for the things that happened, for the way it happened, I felt like now I am back in that phase where I'm playing with her, where I'm connecting with children again, because I could understand that thing about myself. If I had been running away and suppressing those emotions, I would have never been able to connect with my niece. So these are just like small examples, just like how you said, she did not say anything rude, but she bursted out in tears because something was there that triggered you. It's something that triggered you, or something that was going behind the scene that you could not forget. But you need to sit and reflect back on those things just to understand yourself better.
Yeah. True. Thank you for your words.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Sarah. It was amazing. I enjoyed the session. And I think it's something that it's there about people who have been on the same journey of healing. It's the why that matches.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah for joining, and alhamdulillah for being here. Jazakallah khairan. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. And I hope you get a successful podcast and keep going.
Allahumma ameen. Inshallah. Same for you.
Inshallah, yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.